So we're going to start to speak about some of the bowling skills. Okay, two primary ways of a fast bowler or a pace bowler deceiving the batsman. Okay, seam and swing. All right, seam, really easy to explain. Ball lands on the seam. Simple as that. Okay, the seam obviously isn't flat. I know none of the cricket ball's flat, but it's not a smooth surface. It's going to land, if it lands on the seam, you've got the chance of it deviating in any direction. Okay, so we're looking for a small deviation when the ball lands getting on the seam. The key for that is getting the ball rotating with backspin. Okay, so believe it or not, fast bowlers spin the ball. And they can spin the ball with as many revs as what you refer to as a spin bowler. Okay, the key is the only spin that they are generating is backspin. Okay, the backspin is obviously when the ball is rotating back towards you. Okay, so from a seamer's grip it however it feels comfortable. For me, if I were bowling seam, my fingers are going to be fairly close together, tiny little gap in between them, either side of the seam. I'm looking to get the ball to rotate back towards me, so with a flick of the wrist I'm looking to get the backspin rotating, and it's that rotation that ensures that the ball stays upright, which means when I let go of it, it's going to land on the seam. Okay, so first little bit of practice with that. I've done it correctly. Right, there's three for you, there's three for you. Okay, you can ignore the plain ball for the moment. Just have a go at doing those wrist flicks with those three different types of coaching balls. Okay? Yeah, so you've got what I would call pill ball, because that comes from golf. A flat ball, and you're obviously looking to get it rotating so that it stays nice and straight, you don't get any wobble. Wrist flick, get it rotating. Straight line. Better. As soon as you've had enough of that, try a different one.
Why is it tell this one?
I'm rotating myself. Oh, yeah. That's right.
So I've got to get it out of the set.
So, moving on to swing. So, the ball swings because of all sorts of different reasons. Primarily, your team is going to be working on the ball. They're going to be shining one side of the ball and they're going to be letting the other side get dirty, get rough, get a bit scuffed up. Okay? Very quick bit of science. The shiny side moves faster through the air because it creates less air resistance. The rough side of the ball travels through the air slower. So that is how the ball is going to deviate in its path. Okay? So here, I've been working on the red side of this ball. The white side is a little bit more scuffed up. So if the ball presents this way round, the red side's going to move faster. That is going to be my outswing to a right-hander. Rotate the ball round. That is going to be my inswing. Okay, so that's the physics behind it. What you then need to do as a bowler is slightly different. So outswing ball, seam tilts ever so slightly towards the slips. Okay. And then the sensation you're looking for is the last thing to touch the ball is the tip of the first finger. Okay, so this finger lets go before that first finger. That gets the rotation and the ball travelling then out towards our slips on that rotating line. Okay, so outswing off the fingertip, first fingertip out towards the slips. In swing. Ball turns round, points slightly towards fine leg. Surprise, surprise. Last thing to touch the ball is that second finger. Okay?
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Should we have a go?
Yeah. Well, the finger that you're going to let it release off,
Yeah.
you grip that one a bit harder than the other? Or are you just gripping the same?
Yeah, just the sensation. That's the one that comes off last. That's what gives you the rotation. Okay, so when we're talking about reverse swing, what happens is that one side of the ball is going to end up getting heavier. So if the team has been working on shining this side of the ball, then the moisture is going to get into that side of the ball and the ball is going to get heavier. If you're playing on a really abrasive surface as well, so the sort of conditions you get out in the subcontinent, then the rough side of the ball is also going to end up getting worn away by abrasion on the pitch and on the outfield. What happens then is that the shiny side of the ball is going to get heavier, and then rather than swinging away with the resistance, with the speed of the surface, what's going to happen is that side is heavier, it's going to swing back in the opposite direction, and that's what we get with our reverse swing technique. Okay, so there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years about something called wobble scene. A lot of the professional players are talking about that as a variation they use in the longer format of the game. What that simply means is that the ball is still backspinning, as we spoke about before, so we're still getting the backspin sensation. But rather than keeping the seam upright, the seam is canting from side to side, so the seam is wobbling in the air. That way you're going to get the natural variation of when the ball lands on the seam and when the ball doesn't. And there's various ways of creating this that a lot of the professionals have spoken about. But some of the guys just tend to widen their grip a little bit so that the ball becomes unstable. You might look to change the angle of the seam so that the seam points more towards the slips or down towards fine leg. Still getting the backspin on the ball, but then the seam is going to vary a little bit. Some other guys also talk about releasing the thumb off the seam or tucking the thumb underneath the seam. What that does is that just creates a different pressure. So again, we're not getting the backspin rotating along the seam, we're getting that little bit of variance in the air and therefore off of the pitch. So the next thing to talk about with our pace bowling is we're going to look at variations. Generally with a pace bowler, variations is about varying speed. Obviously if you're bowling close to maximum speed all of the time, as you want to be as a quick bowler, your natural variation is you're going to look for something that goes a little bit slower. Okay, so there's loads of different ways you can do it, and we encourage you to experiment here and find your own way to do it. So a couple that we're going to run through, we've got cutters. So you've got your normal seam grip, so seam pointing back down the pitch, normal seamer's grip, but just at the last minute, just on the point of release, you're either going to roll the fingers down that side for an off cutter or down that side for a leg cutter. That's going to get you a little bit of sideways movement off the pitch like you would do with a spin bowler, but from just a standard seamer's grip. Next one you can do is you can release out the back of the hand. It's become popular in the last sort of decade, especially in T20 cricket, as a deception of the batter. That's when you're looking to rotate the arm completely, deliver the ball with the hand facing the batter and the ball comes out over the top. So from a full bowling position, comes through and you can rotate the arm either way, but you just need to get the arm rotated so that when the arm gets to the top, the wrist is facing the batter and the ball releases out over the top. So that's the one out the back of the hand. Next one's come in and more the last few years come out of baseball is a knuckleball grip. So grip the ball just in the fingertips and then roll the ball back so that it goes deep in the hand, but it's only gripped then by the fingernails themselves. Okay, best bowl was a normal release from that, but the pressure that you're putting on the ball is going to make sure that that ball's float out. It's not going to have the backspin variation on it as well for a lower bounce. Next ones you can do is you can simply split the grip. So much wider grip across the seam. That again is adding more friction to the balls, reducing the amount of backspin for again a different variation in delivery. Variation on that, one that was used out in India previously, it's called the Vulcan ball, based off your Star Trek hand signals. So that's getting the wrong fingers either side of the seam. So you can see here that my ring finger and my second finger are the ones either side of the seam, giving me more fingers around the ball, again increasing friction. Another one to do is a deep grip, where rather than normally you would have the ball gripped in your fingertips towards the end of your fingers, just by pushing the ball right back into the hand, again that sensation of increasing the friction. last one to cover is a one finger. So rather than having both fingers on the ball, just having one finger is going to give you that sort of wobble seam appeal, and also again just decreasing the amount of backspin that's delivered. As I say, I'd encourage you to just try stuff. The nets and your practice or playing in the garden is a time to just experiment with different grips, different releases, see what it comes out, and then try to deliver it consistently. So we're all familiar with concepts of line and length within pace bowling, and that it's really important to be able to control the line and the length that you're bowling. Okay, that stuff's all been talked about before. What's really important as a bowler is you start to learn the small differences in your action and the feelings of when stuff goes offline and when it goes online. So getting used to the fact that, oh, I've released that, the result was that ball was too short. What did that feel like? Oh, it felt like I let go of the ball a little bit later than I do normally. And it's just building up that library within your own head of how your body feels when it goes well and how it feels when it goes wrong, and knowing then being able to correct those small differences. So just as we groove the actions, that's what I'd really get you to focus on as a bowler. Now, in terms of practicing line and length, we're all really familiar with drills where coaches get cones out, where they get flat markers out, draw boxes with chalk. That stuff's all been done a lot before, just giving you that visual target. Some different things that you can try is set up a bit more of a visual aid. Rather than looking at where the ball is landing, if you're the sort of bowler that concentrates on target in relation to the batsman or relation to the stumps, you can get yourself set up like here. So what we've just got a pair of shoes out. They're great practice for Yorkers, okay? Aiming at the batsman's feet becomes then your target. If you've got a coach brave enough to stand by the shoes and get the shoes moving around the crease as well, can just create a little bit of variation for the bowler. Then getting yourself set up, helmet or a hat on top of something that just gives you a little bit more height. When you're thinking short ball, you're aiming in for the throat, top of the chest type area. So just another visual target there for you to aim at. The other one that we could use is we could start to place the foam targets on top of the stumps, or any sort of objects that you can get in that sort of area for your good line, good length, top of the stumps type thing. So we're just going to have a go, just use some of those visual aids, have a bowl through and start to work on those little feelings of when the actions go right and when the actions go wrong.